So good morning, everyone. It is good to see you all here. This beautiful, warm, it's a little muggy here in San Diego. I'm guessing it's pretty hot for Rick out there on the East Coast. Rick, I don't know what the temperature there, but I'm guessing you're probably pretty steamy. I hope you're well and that everything is okay there. I think I've got Emily too, who I think is some distance away. Also probably really working with some heat, as many of us are. It's good to see you all. I'm going to check in and see who can see the Search the Darkness poem. This is by Rumi. Is there anyone who can see it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. People can see the poem. Great. Probably 5 stanzas, little 2-line stanzas. So it sounds like most people can see the majority of it, which would be lovely. I'm going to wait just one more moment, letting people get settled. Take a look at the poem, see what it means for you, if it has any. Not everything has meaning for us. And I'm going to actually ask Jim Sinclair to read this. We don't always get to hear too much from Jim. I think he's here this morning. Are you
here?
Are you around, Jim? Can you take a look at it and give us a throw at that in just a moment?
Sure.
I appreciate that. Jim has the kind of voice that I think really harkens to Rumi. It's a certain kind of cadence in the rhythm and in the voice, and I think he does it really well. Today, we're going to be staying with the practice on the medium of the breath. That is the Tonglen practice, the practice of taking and sending. Although we're going to back up a little bit because what I'm hearing from people is that people are avoiding or staying away from the practice because it activates distress, it activates fear, it activates resistance, we could even say. And rather than invite that, which is not the intention of the practice, the intention of the practice is maybe, I want to be careful about how we think of this. It is not to experience fear, but to turn towards whatever is arising, including that which is unpleasant, unwanted, feared, that which we would not prefer, particularly as it relates to our aversion, our not wanting habits, and our resistance habits, which are part of the same thing. Part of the Tonglen practice places our faith in and trust in something larger than that moment. And it's actually something in which I also place a boundless faith. And that is in your human capacity to abide whatever arises compassionately, to abide whatever is in its appearance with mindfulness in the present moment. And rather than our habitual tendencies, this is what we're always practicing, right? Rather than the autopiloted habit for slamming shut, for closing down, for pulling the submarine hatch closed and then tightening it all up, that these practices are invitations and trainings in beginning these small moments of abiding. It is the beginning of turning towards the unwanted, the unpleasant. The truth of life, I wrote in the chat. I think fear is a response to getting closer, I think often, to the truth of our life. The truth of impermanence, the truth of death, the truth that we have no control or authority over what's happening out there. And as I have been working with this myself, it is going against the grain. But one of the things I want to be clear about before we read is it is not going against the grain of your capacity. It is not going against the grain of the truth of your awakened heart mind. It is going against the grain of fear and going against the grain of habit from which it's born from all fear. And so I know I've talked to people, I've heard people say, I can't do this. It's not true. Let me start there. It is completely not true. What is true is that maybe it can only be for a breath. That might be true. Before you get activated, before your brainstem fires, before the old habit rules the moment. But it is not true that even then, that there is not beautiful, necessary, open-hearted work being done. So I don't want people to mistake the arising of resistance or the arising of fear, the arising of the not wanting as some failure in the practice. Because what? Well, where we turn towards fear, we are turning closer, I believe, towards the truth. And so, yes, we will also confront fear, won't we? We will also confront resistance. We will also confront contraction, not wanting. And it is the perfect object to breathe right there. And so we're simply going to practice today, rather than breathing in anything for anyone else. I want to be careful because I think people are perceiving that also mistakenly, and I want to say this before the practice, as somebody else's suffering. It is not anyone else's suffering. It is your suffering. It is already known. You are already holding it. It is already true. It is not more at all. It is the truth of the nature of fear, or pain, or confusion, or doubt, or restlessness. It is all of ours. You're just touching your version. And the mistake is if we move into self and otherness, and this is what has to happen first. You have moved unknowingly into self and other, and then there's my pain and your pain, and your pain is too much because my pain is already too much, but they're the same pain. Whatever you are making contact with, that is what in fact we are breathing. We are not breathing extra because there is no other. Do we understand what I'm saying? There is no other. It is this pain. This is the contact. This is the portal. It isn't because there is more. It is only then turning towards the truth that others, just like me, are also knowing, feeling, sensing, aching from this. And we, by the very awareness, by the very compassionate understanding, by the very abiding, are the light. We are the light. We are the healing agent by our very commitment to turn towards it and not do the autopiloted old habit of shutting down, turning away, or even acting out, going to get the extra cookie, going to watch a little extra TV. You know, those other habits, of course, that we then try to replace. So that's some things I want to say as I've been working with people. This is what I've noticed. So Jim, I'm going to call you up if I can find you there. I'm going to just, as we're getting ready to read this and prepare for sitting, I'm just going to quickly look at chat to make sure I'm not activating or causing extra distress for anyone. Yes, what you resist persists, says Bill and Maureen. Yes, this is the essential truth. At the same time, I don't want people choking on their own resistance. We're just going to make light contact. We're going to be with it. We're going to breathe it. And remember, however long then we can, you will not be following my direction, because I may be staying with whatever I'm making contact with longer than is appropriate for you. But I will give some quick instruction about where to go. If it's like, nope, that's 3 breaths in, plenty for me, I'm done with this, then we simply are going to come back to rest. And we'll go through that quickly so that you know that there is refuge available to you. All part of the same pie, says Lynn. My slice is just one slice of the collective, both pain and beauty of this whole human life. That's right. All right, Jim, whenever you're ready, I'm going to get my bell ready. We're going to listen to these words and wisdom of Rumi whenever you're ready, and then we'll go forward from there. Thank you.
I started in the darkness at Dog Beach this morning, before sunrise.
Beautiful.
Warm water and gorgeous space.
It's good to remember, Jim, I'm so glad you're saying that the darkness is not dangerous by itself. It's the mind, what the mind brings to it. That's exactly right. Thank you.
Search the darkness. Sit with your friends. Don't go back to sleep. Don't sink like a fish to the bottom of the sea. Life's water flows from darkness. Search the darkness, don't run from it. Night travelers are full of light, and you are too. Don't leave this companionship. Be a wakeful candle in a golden dish. Don't slip into the dirt like quicksilver. The moon appears for the night travelers. Be watchful when the moon is full.
Thank you. Be a wakeful candle in a golden dish. That just sounds exactly like our guru yoga training. Don't slip into the dirt like quicksilver. We're going to keep that light available and out. Let's prepare now to sit, establishing yourself in a alert and wakeful, present and comfortable, supported posture. And see if you can establish a little bit of stillness. Part of the restlessness that we bring into the practice will continue its appearance. So you want to take some deep in breaths. Let's do that together. Breathing in deeply. Filling the lungs, the heart, opening space, and then a nice big audible out breath. Breathe it all out. Let's do it again. Breathing in. Holding it at the top and releasing the body. Then big out breath. All the way to the bottom. One more time. Breathing in. Little extra room there. Hold it and soften. And then a big out. And see if as you're breathing out, you can breathe out all the way beyond the lungs, beyond the chest, beyond the belly, all the way down to the bottoms of the feet. Letting all that tension, all that extra excess energy, we call that habit energy. Let it move right through the body with each out breath down into the feet and then beyond the feet, offering it to the earth. You could think of it like flushing out a system. Nice big inhales, filling, refueling, re-energizing, and the out breath, we call it dropping into the breath or dropping the breath. Softening, releasing that old crusty habit energy. Let it begin to move and flow through the body, down into the feet and then beyond those feet, to be held by the earth. Remembering the refuge of the earth that holds us close. Feeling into the sense of the body sitting here. Remembering the refuge of the body. Inviting present moment anchoring. Feeling the sense of the wholeness of the body. It's different than the solidness. You don't want to over construct a solidness, but the feet are connected to the legs, to the hips, to the torso, to the arms, to the hands. Feel into that wholeness. We can rest in the refuge of that wholeness right here, known by this body. And then we can feel the flow of the breath moving in and through and out of the body. When we let that flow happen, it reminds us that nothing is solid, nothing is fixed. Nothing is permanent, and nothing is only mine, me or I. And so we simply let the breath flow. Another point of refuge. And having gathered ourselves to ourselves this much, we will commit to the training, and thus we train. May we dedicate this practice and all of its merits to the end of suffering. and the realization of the truth of our human capacity for awakening. May this practice be a benefit to all beings, everywhere without exception, omitting none, freeing us all. And so we begin at the beginning, we train in the preliminaries, that point one on our Lojong slogans that we'll be looking at later. And so to begin at the beginning, we recollect the essential truths, the truth of the preciousness of this human life, the preciousness of this sweet breath, the preciousness of a dark morning sky touching the beautiful sea. We remember the truth of impermanence, the truth that everything is a flash, a spark, a dewdrop, a lightning bolt, including you, just this one moment. And so we commit ourselves to be fully present. We acknowledge and recollect the truth of karma, that there is the natural law of cause and effect, and that this moment, this mind, sets the stage for the next and the next. And so we turn in the direction of the good, of the light, of our inherent capacities for awakening, for compassionate abiding, just like this. And we acknowledge the truth of suffering and the way to its end. And then we can invite in that light by recollecting moments of goodness, of kindness, of compassion, of love. And we'll just do a brief moment of guru yoga, collecting that light above our heads. Flash moments, flash appearances, lightning moments of goodness, received and offered, not only in this lifetime, but in all time, in all space. And we gather those light moments and we collect them here above our head. And if for whatever reason this takes the form of people, people that you've known, people that you've loved, you can invite them in as well as this source of light. Other beings, you might call in deities, particular others whom you have used as supports, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, models of these others, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Allah. We know them. Invite them all here. And with each drop of light, that light becomes most radiant most pure, most luminous. We are, in fact, a candle, a light in the dark, just like this. And with the next several in-breaths, we're going to be breathing in that source of light, that source of goodness and love, breathing it right in through the top of the head, letting it move over the body, and letting it settle and rest in the refuge of the awakened heart. Remembering that we always have this flash of bodhicitta as a essential refuge in a difficult moment. We can always come back, settle back and rest here. This is open, spacious, luminous, light and space, the source of all goodness right here. And let's just breathe in and out from this heart of bodhicitta for a few moments. Letting it radiate, activate, igniting not only the heart, but then the whole of the body, the whole of the mind. Letting the breath touch this light and become light itself. A healing agent itself. And as we're breathing into this luminous awakened heart, this refuge of love, compassion, and wisdom, we don't keep it tight or contained in the heart space, but that is its essence or source. We let it begin in its time, and it's not something we make happen, it's something we let happen. We begin to let it radiate out in all directions. And this first requires for me, I have to tell you honestly, a little bit of dissolving that habit, nature, energy. I run into a lot of tight spots as I'm just beginning to do this work. And it's not a problem, it's just old habit, mind, nature, and energy. And I'm just allowing the light itself to radiate, to purify, to unify. It's not a problem. Just let the light touch all the tight and tender spots of your own heart mind, dissolving the barriers of separation, of isolation, of aloneness, of fear. We breathe into the light and we breathe it out. And if for some reason the light sense doesn't make sense, feel contact with that sense of open space. The truth of the boundless nature. of the awakened heart mind. Let it begin to open and expand, dissolving all the resistance, all the difficulties, so that we are resting simply in vast open space. Like each lap of the ocean against the shore, we're creating new, a wider, vaster shore and ocean, expanding. We are resting here in ultimate bodhicitta. It's essential to create this vast, open, luminous space, remembering the nature of our own awakened heart mind. And so as we breathe, we continue to dissolve the barriers between ourselves, this false sense of limited self, and this vast open space. Maybe the limit of the body, the limit of the heart, the limit of the breath, wherever you're perceiving it. See if you can dissolve whatever barrier is there at its edge. It's actually not true. So that we then have that radiant light moving in the 10 directions and the 3 times, letting the light move above and below, along with the breath. Let it move left and right. Let it move forward and back. There are no limits beyond those you impose with the habit-natured mind. And then beyond those 6 points, we move into the corners, creating the 10 directions. Breathing into them all. And then we expand beyond the present moment into the past, where there is no time barrier, and into the future. Those are the 3 times and are in fact true. With each breath itself, there is the past, the present, and the future to behold. And as Rumi says, we search the darkness. We don't turn away in this luminosity, in this openness, in this shunyata. We continue to move out in all directions, touching everything with the light of awareness, with the light of compassion and wisdom. And if you feel that you've not been very successful on training on the medium of the breath, you're actually doing it now. So we can breathe in all that goodness, all that open space, all that love and compassion. And we can simply send it out with that radiant light. We can continue to recollect kindnesses, love, to continue to nurture that light, the light of our own awakened heart minds. And then we can send it out. And you could continue in this way for the whole of the practice period, and it would be perfect. One of the slogans in the Lojong training is to always begin with yourself, just like this. And you may simply choose to rest in Alaya here, in this vast, luminous, open space. This would be complete practice. But for those of us who feel some energy, some reality, some contact, we could be those who search for the darkness. And you don't have to search very far. And it could be internal or external. There could have been a compromised, difficult, or slightly mildly challenging moment, a misunderstanding. It could be having made contact with your own distressed heart, your own fear, your own confusion, your own wanting or not wanting. And I like the slogan to begin with yourself for this. So I try to make contact with the moment of my own distress, whether I perceive the trigger as being internal or external. Of course, we understand it's always both. And today, for me, just as an example, I'm just making contact with a little tightness, a sense of armoring on the right side of the heart. And we could even make contact with that physical felt sense. And that's just what is coming up for me. For you, it might be a thought, a memory, a recent moment of contraction or difficulty. But see if you can touch into that in a little way. I don't have a particular moment in mind. I think it's just the angst of this being alive. This thing that Pema calls Shenpa, the queasy tenderness of being alive. And once you make contact with that, and darkness is not quite a fair term, but we're just going to stay with Rumi's uh, contact with that. See if you can just begin to gently turn towards, with the wish for relief, with the wish for healing. Turn towards it, make contact. I'm just going to breathe into that right side of the heart space. You're just going to stay with that event and breathe in. You're going to notice as you wake down the natural contractedness of the body somewhere. That's one of the ways we know distress. And just breathe in and out of this area of the body with that light, with that gentle breeze, creating space and room for it, softening the body. I just tried to relax, for example, the whole right side of the body so I could let the full breath in. And then very gently, very lightly touching in. We're not telling the story. We're not activating the storyline here. We're staying in the direct experience. We're touching in to that tender or tight spot, and of course they're both. It may not be in your heart space. It may be in your knee, in the belly, in the throat, in the back, in the head. See if you can breathe into this area, touching in. Offering yourself compassion, love, kindness. Remember that whatever we are making contact with at this moment, this is a part of the human condition. Not just me, not just mine. Not I. And as we make contact and move closer, one of the things that happens is a couple, you may notice the variability of the sensations. They may come and go, intensify or lessen. That's a possibility. Just stay in this area. This is the compassionate abiding, regardless of conditions, heat or cold, dark or light, hard or soft. We're training in staying. We can shine that light. We can create open space. We can offer those words of loving kindness. May I be released from this suffering, from this contraction, from this pain. May I be healed. Offering it more space, more room, more warmth, more light. One of the things that I notice happens for me often is that the initial unpleasant sensation goes away and it becomes very, very neutral, and it feels like it dives for me. And so even when you get this sense of, well, that went away, I'd like you to continue to abide compassionately here. Continue to breathe in and out. Continuing to make contact. Continuing to bear witness, hold space, and move closer. And with the breath and with one's attention, along with one's own open heart, we can invite an inquiry, but not an analytic. This is not to be thought about, it's actually to be felt. And the two inquiries really are, and we don't have to even construct the questions because that's not important, but the heart is opening to what is this? What is this? And what is needed? And with that unconditional friendliness, we compassionately abide right here, just like this. Breathing into and out from, offering that light, that space. See if phrases naturally arise, and if they don't, you don't have to construct them at all, because the light of your own loving attention is here. The offer is already made. And no matter what else activates in the body, this is a slightly important instruction. I want you to practice with it. I'd like you to continue to go right through the portal of that tight or tender spot to get to it. And so, as an example, I started on the right side of the heart that I could feel had some tension and tightness there. And I'm going through there, and I'm actually noticing all the way on the other side, now in the back left shoulder, there's a significant tightness, and I'm going right through the right side of the heart. We're continuing to shine that compassionate presence, that light, all the way through that portal over to the left back shoulder. Creating space and room. Hold it all. A whole field of light, of warmth, of healing, of loving kindness and compassion. And whenever you feel finished, we're going to take it one step further. But if that's not right for you, whenever you feel a little tired or depleted, you can just come back, rest back, reconnect to the vast, open, luminous space of ultimate bodhicitta and settle back there. And for those who have any more energy, if you do, we can simply then make contact with these tight and tender spots, inviting that light of awareness and love. And we can simply recollect others just like me. Feel this too. And so what naturally happens often is we begin to breathe and open and expand that light of awareness to include those others. And it might be a specific other, it might be a whole group of others. Let it be what it is. Others just like me. Know this, feel this too. And we begin to dissolve that sense of me-ness to open into the larger we-ness. And then as we are breathing, we are simply breathing with, for us all. The exchange of self and other becomes a simply wide open space of acknowledging the truth of suffering and breathing that in and breathing out the way to its end, wherever it takes. And what we know it takes is you. And remember, wherever there's darkness, we are bringing the light of awareness, the light of the wide open, vast space, radiant like the sun, healing, making whole, connecting with whatever it touches. Continuing to breathe. And then let's just come back to rest in that vast, open, radiant space. Those 10 directions and 3 times. Settling back, letting everything be open, spacious, and radiant. We can continue to breathe into that vast, boundless space, or we can let go of the breath altogether, just resting the mind. taking a moment and opening the body a little, stretching, having a sip of tea. We're going to move fairly quickly along. I'm just going to check here. So I'm going to go to a second document. We're going to take a look at that. And then we're going to go to the Lojong slogans. So I think this could be it. This is a quote from really one of my favorite books, truthfully, of all time. Looks like I have to redo this. Let's see if it works. Let's try it again. Maybe not. I need Seth. Seth, I'm trying to go to a second document and I see it in New Share. So I've clicked on it and then I've clicked on Share, but I know there's something else I kind of have to do.
So I see a document. We awaken this bodhicitta.
Thank you. You can see it and I'm staring at some old calendar item.
Okay.
I don't see it still. I don't know if I need to see it, truthfully. If you all can see it, there should be maybe a couple of paragraphs, 2 or 3 paragraphs there.
I can see the first 2 paragraphs in the beginning of the third.
Okay. Seth, since you're right there, would you mind reading the first paragraph?
Sure.
Thank you.
We awaken this bodhicitta, this tenderness for life, when we can no longer shield ourselves from the vulnerability of our condition, from the basic fragility of existence. You take it all in, you let the pain of the world touch your heart, and you turn it into compassion. It is said that in difficult times, it is only bodhicitta that heals. When inspiration has become hidden, when we feel ready to give up, this is the time when healing can be found in the tenderness of pain itself. This is the time to touch the genuine heart of bodhicitta. In the midst of loneliness, in the midst of fear, in the middle of feeling misunderstood and rejected, is the heartbeat of all things, the genuine heart of sadness.
Thank you. Is there anyone who can see that second paragraph and would be willing to read that?
I can read it. Okay, sorry.
I hear 2 people. Who is it? And now I hear 1. So whoever came on first, I think it was someone and then Annika. Whoever came on first, if you would like to read that.
Okay. Spiritual awakening is frequently described as a journey to the top of a mountain. We leave
Lisa,
our
can you
attachment.
start over and read louder? You're very low.
Can you hear me now?
You're low.
I'm low.
Yeah. Just really push it out there. I think we'll be okay.
Spiritual awakening is frequently described as a journey to the top of a mountain. We leave our attachments and our worldliness behind and slowly make our way to the top. At the peak, we have transcended all pain. The only problem with this metaphor is that we leave all the others behind: our drunken brother, our schizophrenic sister, our tormented animals and friends. Their suffering continues, unrelieved by our personal escape.
Beautiful. Thank you. It sounds like our third paragraph is not easily available there. So I want us to talk about this practice today. And because, again, I'm sensing that there is naturally some fear, some resistance, some turning away. And the practice and the teachings are actually inviting us to turn towards whatever is arising. And remember, as we said at the first few weeks, that we can begin by turning towards the good and breathing it in and showering ourselves and our own hearts with that goodness and then sending it out. And that often is the perfect and most beautiful beginning as we begin with ourselves. And then to begin training in this way, we can then naturally begin opening to what can then become more challenging, more difficult, more confusing. And so it may be that part of what's happening for people is that they're too quickly trying to turn towards difficulty. And of course, I understand what that genuinely is, which is the wish to heal, which I see as a very beautiful and necessary thing. But I want to make sure we're not going too quickly. We have to really do all of that work that I did before today, and that I was trying to show you is the necessary resourcing and path today before we turn towards that difficulty, darkness, confusion. It doesn't mean it's not there. It means that without sufficient resource, we cannot be the light that we have the genuine desire to be. And if we don't offer that first to ourselves, there is no hope then for us being that for ourselves and then others. And so I want to hear what you have to say about this, because I'm sensing the struggle as well as the aspiration, by the way. But I want to chat about it because I want to make sure we've got what we need and that we're making contact with what we need to undertake these practices. So either come off mute or I'll look in chat as well.
Yes,
Hi, Rick. Oh,
sorry.
go ahead and then Rick. But I hear someone and then Rick, if you'll come on next. Yes.
Okay. So this is Annika. I was trying to share a story. Sorry.
Sure.
I've been setting up, I'm teaching the Holocaust this semester, and I've been recording lectures for the Holocaust. So we go deeper and deeper into the Holocaust, and you know, it gradually gets worse and worse. And at the same time, we've been keeping track of the stories coming out of Belarus and of Russia, which are really, really dark. And it's been harder than normal. I mean, I've taught the Holocaust 5 times or more, probably more. So in some ways it's, I hate to say routine, but it becomes a routine, except when you're trying to do Tonglen and when you're in the middle of a pandemic, it's not routine. So what I've been working with, and I think your instructions last time or the time before was very helpful with this, is not taking in the darkness of these stories, but taking in my fragility and my resistance to the stories. And that felt actually very helpful because it made me remember that my students are in the same position, that they also are going to be really, really sensitive to more than normal, probably, to the stories, to the darkness. So I work Tonglen then with my, oh, really, I can't do this right now.
Yes.
And that was the story I wanted to share.
Time, Monica, that's right. It may be only time for resting in ultimate bodhicitta, the vast open space, because ultimately it is the contracting nature, the fear-based nature of the relative existence that captures us, doesn't it? I can't do this, I'm not capable. And you know, in our fear-based, deficient perceiving moments, the truth is we can't.
But it does connect me to everyone else who avoids reading the news and my students who might not want to listen to my lectures.
That's right, it does, because you know that this suffering is everyone's, and that's the ultimate bodhicitta I'm talking about. You're saying, just like me, I don't want to look, I know you don't want to look either, then that opens us up right away. That moves us almost fairly immediately when we can really do it. Not when we say it, but can't do it. Right
Yeah,
out
it
of
was
our
interesting.
small self
Yeah.
into, I can hold, well, you're already bigger. You've already made contact with the truth of this as a part of the human experience, not just mine, called Annika's. And that's already creating that wide open space of ultimate bodhicitta. That's why you can do it. And that's also, by the way, why we can't do it when we can't do it, because we have contracted into the small me, where there is not room, not only for no other, there is no room there for you. We're squeezing ourselves right out. So that's exactly right. Thank you. Rick, I want to say hello and good morning and welcome you to make an offering. Hi there.
Hey, it's great to see everybody. Great to see you, Diana. You know, sometimes hard. I mean, my intention is always to join every Saturday, but because I'm on the East Coast, 10:30 to 12 sometimes screws everything up. Because I would personally prefer being there at 7:30 in the morning. It'd be better. So this is actually, I know Philly is intense, and in the pandemic and everything, Philly's even more intense. You know, Philly's not really ever in the news. You know, on any given night, we have between 4 and a dozen people get murdered every day. The gun violence is ridiculous. You know, and it's just like I live near a forest, and I get to see the forest wanting to retake our neighborhood. You know, like I see the decay of the stone and the brick. It's a lot. And so this whole thing of turning into that discomfort or that that pain or that thing, that fear. And I remember, I mean, this is going back to a lot of Pete. And so I worked with Pete, like in 2008, and I was an athlete, and I was training 30 to 35 hours a week. And I was still finishing like at the back of the middle of the pack. And, Pete basically said to me, Jesus Christ, in so many words, Jesus Christ, Rick, you're such a fucking pussy. You think just because you train 30 hours a week that all the other guys are going to say, oh, okay, Rick is training 30 hours a week, so we're going to let him win. He goes, winning is painful. And he pointed me to a quote from Jesse Owens. And he said, ultimately the only difference between first and second place is embracing the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual pain. Face it, embrace it. And so I did that, and I started winning medals. I have boxes of medals. And I use embracing the physical pain when things start going wrong, the fatigue, as a source of energy, because I have a high tolerance for pain. And I used to talk shit in races. I used to say, guys that were 25 years old when I'm in my mid 40s, fuck you, I'm gonna beat you. And I embraced that pain, and I sort of taught myself to embrace a lot of pain and face it, but not go through it, just sort of sit in it. But it's also not a really good thing to do at the same time at a certain point, right? So I've been now recently trying to understand what is the difference between facing it and understanding it and facing it and moving forward. And, back when I did my first retreat with you going on 8 years ago at Quest Haven, I went from just meditating a little bit to say, fuck it, I'm going straight deep 5-day noble silent retreat. Let's just do this, and at one point, I took you aside. I'm like, Jesus Christ, my back is killing me. And my low back, my neck, what the hell am I doing? I can't sit right. This is crazy. Why am I here? Who am I, right? It was a lot, right? That first retreat was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And you said to me, you have to soften into it. And I have literally spent the better part of the last decade since that conversation we had trying to figure out how to soften into it. And I've always wanted to call you up and ask you about this, but I sort of felt like this is one thing I needed to figure out. And so a couple of weeks ago, we had horrific floods. The Schuylkill flooded, the Wissahickon flooded, my whole neighborhood was flooded under 5 feet of mud. And it was the streets were rivers, kegs going down. So I went to go check it out. And I'm taking my dog for a walk. And and dogs as they are, God bless them, they always take a dump in the worst possible place. So when I got the bag to get her poop, there was a stick and it ripped the bag. And now I have dog shit on my hand. And I'm holding on to the leash and I have a coffee. Then all of a sudden there's a bug on me. And then the whole situation, I couldn't get to it. And then it stung me, and it's in my head, and I couldn't immediately. So for the first time ever, I actually had to learn to just deal with it and soften into it. And the more and more I actually learned to breathe into that one place of acuteness, it actually started getting better. And so since then, I have tried to, with my own free will and choice, when something happens that's potentially physical or energetic or emotional, still though, it is hard to face it. Well, facing it is easy, but understanding how to soften into it, to go through it, is really hard, right? There's like that balance of tension and softness and tension and softness. So if you could explain how to work through those waves or sections or layers of tension and softness to go through it, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, that's such a lovely example. Gosh, I love when you guys talk. That's probably better than any example I have. Well, you know, I'm going to say you've already hit the moment of enlightenment, Rick. You already went, I don't have this hand. I don't have my old strategy. I don't have my speed. I don't have my courage. I got caught off guard. I think these are the most beautiful moments, and I really mean that. And I really mean enlightenment. I'm not joking. I think we don't get close to this until all of our old bullshit gets pulled out from under us. I think while we can run as fast as we can run, we run the other way. While we can rationalize, intellectualize, we do that. Really, I think it's often life itself, isn't it? I think we're often able to skirt these moments, right, with strategies called run faster, drink a martini, eat some caramel corn, go have sex, you know, whatever we're doing. And I think it's when life just congeals perfectly like this, that we finally go, oh, this is what it means to finally give up the game. This is, and not because I picked it, but because really there was no other choice. And don't we all get this opportunity, if not in any other moment, if we've managed to navigate them all away, it is the moment of death, where we then confront, there is nothing left to do but be completely present in this moment with myself and the reality, and often awaken literally there. And so I think the pandemic has offered this invitation. And in fact, it's sometimes called dying before we die. Right? That's what that softening means. It means give it all up. Give the strategy, give the game, give the I can do it. Really become most human, most vulnerable. And then we see that, in fact, just like you did, that we are larger than that condition, whether it's dog poop, a sting, a diagnosis, a divorce, right? And I happen to notice that many of the masters, and I'll just name Pema Chodron and Eckhart Tolle as two, they came up against the wall of their own strategies. Pema was in a second marriage. She was pretty sure she could make it work. She had 2 kids. She was a good girl. She was gonna, you know, pull this off. And the husband was having an affair. And her world shattered, literally. I can't keep it together like this. And Eckhart Tolle, we know, who was suicidal, ready to slit his own wrists. And it just broke open into, wait a minute, there is more than just this challenge. And that it is not, in fact, life itself. It is not the husband leaving. It is not winning the race. It is the mind that has decided that this is the failed, deficient, not good enough me that contracts. You have to contract into that. And where we soften, we allow the contraction to dissolve itself, where we can open. And we just began in the body this morning, didn't we? Can I just soften around that? This is the beginning of beautiful training. And then can I soften just for a moment or breath around my fear? Or can I soften rather than contract just for around my pain or my confusion or my rage? Right? And this is the training. It is one step, isn't it? One breath, one moment at a time. And I know some of us are beautiful bodhisattvas in training who are trying to breathe it all. This will be dangerous and is also egoic, by the way, isn't it? It's just as much ego to go, I can take it on. I've got it all. Let me handle it. This is no more dissolving that limited self than any other, than the collapse that we define as the limited self. This is arrogance and pride and believing I should muscle or muster through it all. This is also not the way, by the way. So I'd say you hit right onto a moment of enlightenment there, Rick, which is okay. No other place to go, no other way. Let me be with this completely, opening to this reality as it is. And then, yes, I do happen to know this. All goodness in that open space, in that softening rushes, literally, and I mean it, rushes in. Rushes in. But we've got to be open first. So thank you so much, Rick. That was beautiful. Could it be the point where we stop resisting? Yes, it would be. Is there any more to do? No. No, let's not complicate it. I don't think so. I think the very minute that you recognize resistance or feel it, that's the same as recognition, and you can say, okay, here I am not wanting this. Let me allow, be with, breathe the truth of this. That's already Tonglen. You're already doing it, aren't you? There it is. Just breathing with the truth of this. And I didn't say get rid of the contraction wherever you found it. I said, could we make contact? Can we hold it gently? Can we bear witness? Can we open and include? These are the kinds of words. And what do we notice? And in the face of, as we open there, they're all healing. They're all healing then arises. And I also mean this at the moment of death. And I believe there are some people online who have done hospice, who also are in the medical profession, who see the truth of this, who see that all healing comes as the person is no longer in the struggle with whatever is actually happening, which might simply be the body dying. And that's how we encourage. Can we just be with this breath, relax and open here? This is the beginning of the training. So if you're struggling, I'm going to say you may be caught in an egoic demand. I need to breathe in all horror, all terror, all murder for everyone, get out of there. That's just you trying to make a bigger, small you, and really come back, rest, create that open space, and then see all that can be included in it, which is, by the way, everything. All that can be included naturally happens, just everything. And so I'll just use myself again as I was breathing into the right side of the heart where I could feel the contraction. And then I discovered it had hidden itself slightly over in the left shoulder. And I could just create space and room there. It just made everything more spacious. And dissolve that into the larger truth that there is a way to be with, breathe with, and ultimately heal everything. Yes, when things fall apart, I'm going to recommend this book. My father, in his last year of life, read this book 13 times and would read me quotes every evening from it. One of them is one that I posted today. And it reminds us about this very opening. And this is the training. And here is my father at 84 years old, by the way, certainly in no way defining himself as a Buddhist, no, not even close. He wore a whole chest of rosaries. And that was his root tradition. And he would say, my God, why didn't I know this before? Why couldn't I begin the practice? Well, because of all the reasons we all didn't do it every moment before the one we're in. And the only one that matters is which one? The one we're in. Right, that one. This is the moment for awakening. This is the moment for abiding. This is the moment for holding the truth of who we really are. So when things fall apart, stay there, open and find the light. Stay there in the light. Yes, it is there, actually. And we have to make contact with that so that as we turn towards the difficult, the contracted, the closed down, we have that with us. And these traditions, you know, this many millennia ago knew that. And actually the neuroscience supports us now in a completely, identically the same as soaking in the good. A little different language. And that's why I don't use the traditional visualizations, by the way. Use the visualization that's available to you. Yes, those who were training in Buddhist monasteries were imagining the Buddha above their head. You know, as I've told you, Grandma Irene is the one who comes for me, or my father in moments of protection. And I use them. I use them. Don't try to artifice this up. Use what's really there for you. What is the representation of that healing, that light, that good for you? And if it stays just light, how beautiful, how perfect. But if it takes on a personification, let it be that as well. And that's why I used words like, I called on others like Gandhi and Martin Luther King and Mother Teresa. And maybe that those images are invitations for you. Yes, Pema Chodron, When Things Fall Apart, I'm going to highly recommend that. I want to go just for another moment, if I can. I'm sensing my dramatic limitation here to the screen and see if I can get the Lojong slogans for us. And I know we're not going to get the Lojong slogans. Sorry, we're going to pass on that. The slogan that I had in mind for us, I won't be able to look at point 2 more. I'd like you to look at it. I've sent it to everyone. The slogan I'd like you to look at this week and repeat often is drive all blames into one. Drive all blames into one. And I want you to, I'm going to be in retreat next week. I'm going to be trying to be here Tuesday with my phone on Zoom. I'm going to shoot for that. We'll see how it goes and then decide on next Saturday as well. But drive all blames into one. And the question is, what or who is the one? Drive all blames into one. Who or what is the one? Okay, I want you to reflect on that. Call it up, please, this week. Just to let you know that I'm going into retreat as a beautiful gift from Quest Haven, who made that invitation. They are actually not open. It was quite delightful. We've known each other a lot of years. And the beauty of it was they said, just like always, you need to be here, which feels just amazing to me. So going in this Monday, I will be in through next Sunday. That's the 31st, I think. But I will be trying to be on for teaching on Tuesday morning at 7, and then we'll decide about Saturday at 7:30. We have many beautiful beings here in the sun. I'll be working with some of the board on that, on options. But because I can get Zoom on the phone, I think that should likely work. And thank you. I will be practicing with and for you whether we can see each other or not. And I hope that you will do the same in my behalf during this week. Thank you. Let's sit for just a second together. Time flies when you're having so much fun. And so let's rest back in that ultimate bodhicitta, the vast, wide, open, luminous, radiant space of our own awakened heart mind. And that simply means you have to do nothing. Except let the mind take the shape of that vastness. Let the heart take the shape of that radiance. Let the body, this physical body, dissolve. No longer a hindrance, no longer a fetter. Letting the heart mind continue to open, expand, widen. Making room for everything. All beings, all things, all beauty, all truth, all love, all compassion, all confusion, all doubt, all hatred, all aggression, points of light. Breathing into the open space and breathing it out. May we dedicate humbly, most humbly dedicate the merits, the blessings, and the benefits of this practice today, and all practice throughout all time, coming from the 10 directions and the 3 times. May we offer this to the end of suffering and the realization of true, unconditioned happiness and freedom. We offer this first to ourselves, to loved ones, those we know, to those we appreciate, to those for whom we have extended and received kindnesses, continuing out in ever widening circles to all beings everywhere, without exception. As we breathe in, may we offer these blessings to ourselves, and as we breathe out, may we send them out. May we all have happiness and the causes for happiness. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we all rejoice and awaken joy at our blessings, our good fortune, and offer that to the good fortune of others. May we rest and dwell in the great, vast, wide open arms of love, wisdom, and compassion. Free from all afflictions, all disease, all disorder, all cravings, all hatred and aggression, and all ignorance. May this practice today contribute as it does, as it is, and as it will. May we have then a very good day. So be it. Thank you all so much for being here with me today as I get ready for retreat. This was a beautiful practice, and it's beautiful to see all of you. I hope to see you on Tuesday morning, but we'll have a backup plan in case for some reason that doesn't happen. If you haven't looked at the book, When Things Fall Apart by Pema, it is all about the Tonglen teachings, this very work that we're doing. It is a most beautiful book, and one that I will have at my bedside forever. Just beautiful instructions. It's good to see all of you. May you all have a beautiful day. Please take good care of yourselves. I'll look forward. Stay cool for those of you who are caught in some difficult weather. And I'll look forward to seeing you this Tuesday morning. I will not be available for Monday evening Sangha, evening practice, and that will be in the newsletter, which will be going out tomorrow with some instructions for all of this in our calendar. So thank you all so much again. Love to you all. And every blessing. Be well, everyone.